Yes, guys. Hello and welcome back to the SpursRelated YouTube channel and podcast. I hope everyone is doing very well. Silly question on my intro. Everyone should be doing very well as per the news earlier from Paul O'Keefe and other sources saying that. Well, actually, we'll get into it in just a minute. But I hope everyone's doing well and hope you're having a good day so far. As you can see, back joined alongside Thomas Frank's AI son, Frank Thomas. Frank, we're going to get into things, all things EZE, but if you can see from the title and thumbnail of the video that the EZE deal is hopefully coming to a conclusion. As I said, we'll give you all the latest. And if you do enjoy these transfer update videos and live streams, please do me a massive favor and smash the like button. Smash the subscribe button and turn notification bells on if you are new. I know a lot of you guys like watching these on repeat, so please do keep getting your comments in as well as the super chat option below and the membership option. As I said yesterday, we want to do some membership shows going forward for the season. So if you did want to join and become a member, I think for £2 per month, then that would help us out massively. And it means you guys can come on here and give your opinions too. But Frank, how are you doing, mate? How's things? Are you excited?
Yeah, I am. It feels like we can't ever have a transfer at Tottenham without it being a saga that drags on for about 3 months. And it's nice that hopefully this one's coming to an end and a positive end at that. So yeah.
Absolutely, mate. Got a few in the house. We've got Lockman in the house. Lockman, Eunice, SNG, EU Gin. I hope I haven't butchered that, mate. I hope you're doing very well. Said hashtag Levy out. We've got Gio Max, the veteran himself, in here saying COYS. Max is absolutely buzzing. He's posting it all over his Instagram story today. Felix in here saying long time no see. Mate, we were live yesterday, Felix. I don't know where you've been, mate. But no, we haven't been live quite as often, but we're back to dailies now. So get those noti bells on. Ring them on in the chat. Let me know you're watching. There's already 60 of you in the house. Let's see if those numbers keep growing. I love the support at the moment. Chris Bell, here we go. Ding, ding, soon. Absolutely, Chris. I went early, didn't I, guys? I said that it's done. I said on Twitter it's done. And everyone goes, you're not an in the know. And I said, I know I'm not an in the know. I'm just giving you information I've been given that the deal has been done. And everyone's going nuts today that Paul O'Keefe's announced it. I mean, listen, guys, you get the exclusives here first. Paul Weeks saying agent fee holding up, deal being completed at the moment. Paul, trust me, this is going through. I'll put my neck on the line. I'll probably quit YouTube if this doesn't go through now. I'm that confident. I could be in the mud here, honestly, Frank. Joe Gwen's in here saying, big up SpursRelated, tuned in all the way from California. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love it, Joe Gwen. Loving that we've got a worldwide audience coming in. And hopefully some of you guys are coming in from Instagram. We got our Instagram ban the other day. I don't want to go off on one about that, but 74,000 followers, bang, taken away from us. So if you want to follow our backup for now, it's at SpursRelated Media on Instagram. That is us until we get our account back, hopefully. Deacon saying, big up everyone. Big up yourself, mate. Is that Dragon Ball Z is your profile picture? Looks like it. Should call it Dragon Ball EZE, shouldn't we? Archer's saying, big up all. Big up Archer. And finally, Simon Cohen as well saying, big up boys. Always in here, Simon. Really appreciate all the support. We've got 70 in the house already. As I said, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bells if you are new to SpursRelated. But let's get into things. Let's talk some updates. And as I said, EZE, deal sealed, Frank. Deal sealed. We should see the here we go very imminently from Fabrizio Romano. Apparently, discussions are ongoing between Levy and Steve Parish of Crystal Palace. But the deal has been signed in principle. The fee has been agreed. The personal terms have been agreed. Eberechi Eze will become a Tottenham Hotspur player. I am sure of it. Paul O'Keefe's sure of it. Many sources are sure of it. It is happening. It is exciting. Get him in your fantasy football team, because I think Frank's gone early here and put him in a 7.5 million. But not to make this a fantasy football show, but as you can see at the top, Paul O'Keefe saying, understand Tottenham have reached a verbal agreement with Crystal Palace for Eberechi Eze. And we believe it's in the region of 55 million to 60 million pounds plus add-ons. So an absolutely, in my opinion, incredible deal for that caliber of player. Frank, do you think that that's a good deal? And of course, guys, we'll come on to Savinho and the other links shortly. But Frank, what do you think? Do you think that's a good deal, mate?
I think both 55 million is a great deal, and I think 7.5 million for your fantasy team is an even better deal. But no, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm really pleased. I mean, the original kind of fee we thought it was going to be was 68, I think it was, just the release clause, and that's kind of what it's been for the last couple of months. That was what everyone seemed to have been quoted, and Spurs have, been lucky to an extent that nobody else has maybe picked him up in that time frame, but they've waited, they've sat it out, and now it looks like they're probably going to get him done, hopefully, for 55 plus some add-ons. And so that's a good deal. It's a really, really good deal. As I said yesterday, he's a top player, and when you add players that have experience and quality in the Premier League into an already decent side, you're only going to improve, or you should only improve. And when we sign players too often that have unbelievably high ceilings but are unknown entities now, and with EZE, you know what you're going to get. There's still a high ceiling there, but you're going to get a player at 27, I think he is, that is going to want to be in the World Cup squad next summer. So he's going to instantly be on a push to improve himself, certainly over the next year. But also he's now there's a different pressure, of course, of playing for maybe a bigger sort of top 6 club. But it's one that I think he'll sort of fit into, and I have no reason to think that he won't slot in quite easily. So I'm looking forward to it.
Exactly. A caliber of EZE's player you'd think would be absolutely slotting in so easily, and can play number 10, can play on the left, potentially could play as a number 8 at times. He is a versatile player. I think potentially this solves the left wing issue as well, because as soon as Kulusevski comes back, and obviously Maddison probably next season, you could play one of them in the 10, you could play EZE on the left, you could play Kudus on the right, you could play Solanke up top, or Richarlison, depending on how he's doing. What a front line that is. Guys, let me know in the comments below, a little bit of an interaction section to begin with. I like to get people commenting in the chat, fast fingers and all that. Let me know if you still, despite signing EZE, think we need Savinho or a left-sided player. If you think we need a left-sided player, put number 1 in the chat. If you don't think we now need a left-sided player as well as EZE, put a number 2 in the chat. Let's see how you guys think about the situation despite signing EZE. I'm buzzing. Like, Eberechi EZE has been a player I wanted to sign for literally, you can check back on this channel, about 3 years. He is unbelievable. He is honestly a level above what we have in the team at the moment, in my opinion, and just really excited. Chris Bell saying, EZE is done. We've got 70 million euros to splash on a left-sided player as well. I have a little feeling Savinho is going to happen as well. Best transfer window ever, possibly. Frank, what do you reckon? Best ever transfer window?
For Tottenham, it would be up there, yeah. In terms of Tottenham's windows, it would certainly be up there. As I say, I'm frustrated maybe a little bit about how it's happened and that we've had to wait such a long time. And as I say, don't want to get too excited because EZE isn't technically a Spurs player yet. And as we saw with Gibbs White, that we all thought that was done, and I imagine the same sort of thing won't happen. But it's until there's a photo on Twitter of him in a Spurs shirt, I'm a little bit wary now. So yeah, if we get those 2 in, it will certainly be up there with one of the best we've had on paper, because we've brought in, I would say, 4 individuals that come in and improve the team pretty much straight away. 3 from the Premier League, and obviously Paulinho as well. And then you've brought in 2 younger players as well who can grow and develop in Tel and Takai. And so that's a really positive sort of balance that they've gone about getting if these 2 do go through.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, 100% agree. And as per the comment I just said about, comment 1 if you think we need a left winger, or comment 2 if you think we're fine. On the whole, Alex Poiner here, Archer saying number 1. They're saying that we do now need to go out and get a left-sided player, as per Simon Cohen as well. Football Insider are saying that Rodrigo has agreed terms with Man City. I haven't seen a really good source on that, Johnny, but that's not to say that that's wrong. Manuel on Facebook is saying we need a striker after EZE and a central defence man. I would say we're all right, unless he means centre-back. What do you think on the centre-back situation, Frank? Do you think we need a centre back as well after this?
Yeah, I think we need a kind of a hybrid between a centre back and a full back. We spoke yesterday about Hincapié, whether or not that was a possibility or not. We spoke about Gertruda, who's I think it's at final still. Well, she might be at Leipzig now. So there's some options. There's some options out there who can play as both centre halves and as full backs, and I think Gertruda can also play as a holding midfielder as well. So that gives you an extra option. I would look to go for a left-sided one though. Probably I'd use Jed Spence predominantly as a right back, just because I think he's probably should be. That's what we bought him as. That's what I think he should be developed as. As I say, that you have symmetry in players that. If you're playing on that side that you are footed, I think there's symmetry in the team. So I'd keep Spence on the right. I'd go and sign a Hincapié type, whether or not you get him is a different argument, but someone of that type that can play as a centre half, you need him to, but can also play as a left back and be part of the back three then as well. And Ben Davies, but as I say, 10 years younger and hopefully better.
Essentially a mould of player, as I like to refer to as Jan Vertonghen, what a player he was back in the day. He could play left centre back, but also very, very capable at left back. If you remember that very famous game against Borussia Dortmund at Wembley, when he had man of the match performance, got a goal and an assist. He was incredible in that game. I remember being there live. I think a mould of player like Jan Vertonghen is something Tottenham probably lacks still. With Ben Davies, obviously, he's pretty getting on now, 11 years of service, and we know it's his last year at the club unless a miracle happens and, he gives us an incredible season and we sign him on again. But let me go. Well, comments are going nuts, by the way, guys. I really appreciate all the support. There's 130 of you in the chat after 10 minutes. That's really insane numbers. Really appreciate that, guys. I think there's 31 likes on the video. Let's try and get that to 100. That would be absolutely brilliant if you could smash the like button. And if you want to create a super chat and create a talking point for this show, there is a thanks button underneath, a little super chat option if you want to get your talking point in and we can start discussing it. Phil's saying, big up, lads. I'm excited, but I will wait for the official announcement and club video, a bit like you said, Frank. And Jack Morrissey saying, big up to you guys. Big up, Jack. Thanks for joining again. He said, Eze and Paulinho are the Prem-proven players we have been begging for a while. I think that left centre-back is more important. At this point, you have to assume Van der Ven will pick up a hamstring injury at some point. Unfortunately, I do think you are right there. Andre's in the house, our former co-host himself. Hope you're doing well, mate. He said, bring back Eric Dyer. That is a horrendous call from you. Never immune to a stinker there, Andre. Eric Dyer, you're high. He probably is, Chris saying, why isn't Romano saying anything? Do you know what? I think Romano is sometimes, don't get me wrong, he's a very, very credible journalist, and everyone requires the here we go to know it's going to happen. Of course, Spurs fans feel a little bit differently after what happened to Morgan Gibbs-White with the here we go. However, we do 99% of the time know that if a here we go comes, then that is that. And that is what everyone's striving for. Everyone wants him to say, here we go. The memes go around on Twitter. And so in terms of, this being absolutely concrete, you want to wait for that. However, there are other journalists that are very credible that have said deal agreed. Paul O'Keefe is really wrong. And he's saying that the deal has been agreed. We already know that personal terms are being agreed. We already know that Eze wants to join Tottenham. He's made that clear to Palace, don't forget. This deal is happening. You guys can clip me all you want. I don't care. I'm so confident it's happening. As for Savinho, it's in the balance. It's 50-50. I'm not sure if that is going to happen or not. And we'll come on to that as well. But the chat, keep commenting your thoughts. I will get to the chat again at some point, but we're going to get back to the latest in terms of the, social media world and the journalists and giving us the updates. As per Aaron Romero, Frank, who does he work for?
I can lie and pretend I know.
I thought you might have known it. I think he's a journalist. He's a journalist for. I think he might be an independent one. Independent football journalist.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Just about to say that.
So again, when we're bringing you this news, guys, we're just bringing you what the aggregators are saying, what the independent journalists are saying, what the in the knows are saying. This is for you to make your mind up on what the latest is. But he's saying that Tottenham Hotspur chairman Daniel Levy personally taking charge of negotiations. Well, we know that's probably true because that's always how it's been. A medical is scheduled today to ensure that Eze's registration is completed in time for the match against Manchester City. Tottenham Hotspur are not done yet. Well, to be honest, I don't think much of this is absolutely, mind-blowing. I think the bit that's interesting is the medical and whether that actually did happen today. I would say it probably hasn't happened today. However, Frank, I can't say that for sure. I would say that the medical is happening in the next 24 to 48 hours, and I would expect Fabrizio Romano to be doing a here we go within that time frame as well. Everything points towards the deal being done. Everything points towards personal terms being agreed, as I said, not to repeat myself. This deal will happen. And I know I know I said the same for Morgan Gibbs-White. But by the way, if this falls through now, my goodness, there is going to be some backlash. But let's not go there. That's not happened yet. The next piece I wanted to discuss, Frank, is the stats, the appearances, the goals and assists per appearance. You go through the seasons there, 2021, 4 goals, 3 assists in 22, then 10 goals in 38 with 4 assists. 2022, 2023 bought 6 goals, 3 assists in 28 matches. And then the last 2 seasons are the ones that, for me, is where he's just elevated as a player even further. Eberechi Eze, 2023, 2024, 27 matches played, 11 goals, 4 assists. That's a goal contribution over every other game. And 2024, 2025, last season, 31 appearances, 11 goals and 6 assists. Frank, what do you make of these stats? And as per his career total, 105 goal contributions in 305 appearances, by the way, not starts. Frank, do you think they are the stats we can be absolutely, excited for? And tell me what you think. Do you think he can get even better return at Tottenham?
Yeah, I do. Since Glasner took over, so that was 23, 24. I want to say, I could be wrong. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. So his numbers since then have improved pretty greatly. Other than that 21-22 seasons, if you look at the other 2 around it, his numbers have improved greatly under Glasner. And that's because he's probably playing in a better team than they have been in the previous 3 years. With better players around him. And so the argument is that he comes to Tottenham, who are a better team, you'd like to hope, and have better players, certainly on paper, and a system that he can slot into, that in theory, they should rise again. But I don't know, let me, 1 second, I want to see what, in comparison to sort of like James Maddison's numbers last season. I reckon they're probably quite similar, which bodes well for Eze, because obviously playing for a weaker probably side. I know we were quite poor last year, but so Maddison got 16 contributions last season in the league, so 1 less than Eze. So you bring Eze into a side that have better players, and I think he'll probably excel. I think this bodes well. Oh, you're on mute.
Absolutely. Alex is saying Eze in the 10, Kudus on the right, Savinho on the left. We can cook here with the extras in the squad. I actually want to do another opinion in the chat as well here, guys. 160 of you watching now. The numbers just keep growing. Give me a rating out of 10 if Eze goes through and no one else does, in terms of a rating out of 10 for this transfer window. Would you give this transfer window an 8 out of 10 with just Eze extra, bearing in mind we signed Tell on a permanent, Takai, Kudus, and who was the other one, Frank?
Palinha.
Just with, of course, Palinha on loan as well. What would you give that out of 10? And let me know your reason why. I'd love to see, because at the moment for me, if Eze signs, it's still a 7 or 8 out of 10 window. But if we sign Savinho too, or another left, another centre back or a different left winger, that could be a 9 for me. Frank, I don't know what you think.
I think it's probably a good time to bring this bit of news then. That 3 minutes ago, Sacha Tavolieri, who's the Belgian guy, I think he's all right. I'm going to say he's all right and relatively reliable, said that Savio's staying at Manchester City.
Who said that?
Sacha Tavolieri, who's the Belgian journalist.
Is this for Savinho?
Yeah, he said he's staying at Manchester City. Obviously, I'll wait until one of the other lot say it.
Okay, well, there we go.
It does feel like today there's been a lot of people that you gather probably know something have kind of mentioned other names. I've seen that Akliueche thrown about a bit. I've seen a couple of others thrown around. So it has kind of felt like something was going on in a negative way, but I imagine that is probably the news that is probably true. So it will be, if they get Eze in, then we're probably looking at a 7 or an 8. They need another 1 or 2, I still think, for it to be a perfect window. Savinho would have made it near enough perfect, but if that's not going to happen, then I think they certainly need a winger. And I think they need a left back or a left-sided centre half.
Okay, well, maybe in a minute then, Frank, we'll get to some potentials if we don't get Savinho and similar calibers of player. I'm going to bring up the chat now to discuss, that question I asked about out of 10. I think this is a good point from Archer, by the way. Really good do with Eze for the City game. Gives a second out ball along with Kudus, because I think obviously we're very good at the Etihad normally. Our record there is insane considering how good Man City are. But Eze, obviously, you'd be much more confident. Liston's saying, big up Liston. It's been a while, mate. Hope you're good. He said, if no one more than Eze, it's a 9 out of 10. Just Eze. Simon says is a 7. Callum's in here saying, love it that we signed Eze. Ben Edwards, 6.8. Very specific there, Ben. 6.8 out of 10 there. With no left winger. Window with just Eze, no Savio, which looks like potentially, as per that news there from Sasha Taglieri. Not a tier 1 journalist in my opinion, but not to say he hasn't been pretty good this transfer window. 7 out of 10, very good. Not all positions of the squad acknowledged, but the vast majority of the most as pressing has been done. With Eze, it's a 7. With the left wing, 8.5. Simo is saying an 8. Who's that in your profile picture? Jed Spence. And Cantab saying, big up James and Frank. Cantab, always in here, mate. Appreciate you. Hope you're good, mate. Let's get to the Savio news in a minute, right? Because I know it's breaking, but I just want to touch a bit more on Eze, because let's not blast past this. The hype on Eze is never going away. Let's just appreciate how versatile Eze is for a second. Obvious 300 and something matches you mentioned earlier, Frank. From most of them, attacking midfield, 144 matches, mainly for Crystal Palace, 35 goals in that position and 21 assists. He can obviously also play central mid, maybe in the 8, like I mentioned, the more advanced in the double pivot, potentially, Frank, that is. But also left wing. We know that he can play off the left. He has been playing off the left for Palace in recent games as well. So, yeah, interesting how versatile he can be based on those appearances on the left, goals as the second one, and assists on the third. What do you make of this, mate? And Cantab, just let you know, there has been some Savio news, not from a tier 1 journalist, what we describe as a tier 1 journalist, but from Sasha Taglieri, saying that apparently Savinho is set to stay at City. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But yeah, not great news. But guys, we support Tottenham Hotspur. It's not all so singing and dancing all the time. Even though we get Eze, which is probably the best news for the last God knows how long, we always get a little bit of a stinker at some point as well. It's part of it. It's what we live and breathe. But Frank, what do you make of this versatility, mate?
Yeah, it's positive. It's very positive. We've obviously got a manager now in Thomas Frank that wants to change things up and switch things up often, and so he slots in a number of different ways. He also offers something that we don't really have in many others. Kudus now, and you could argue Kulu's pretty good at it, but obviously he's not fit for a while. He's a proper ball carrier, which playing in that midfield that we've seen, we kind of lacked that a little bit, I thought, on Saturday at points, and that we were, Sarr and Berger, certainly in the first half, went a little bit absent, and so it caused problems on Archie Gray, and no one was really getting hold of the ball. And I think he comes in and he gives you a foothold in games. So yeah, I think it. As I say, it bodes well. It all bodes well. The numbers bode well. His general attributes and things bode well. It's a very positive bit of business if they get done, and one I'm very excited about.
Absolutely, mate. And do you think he'd be better for Spurs in the 10 or the left, or?
I think the 10. I mean, he can play as a winger, but I think the basic premise of what Thomas Frank is doing is he wants players that are technically good in and around sort of the midfield and the back line, and then players that just have unbelievable amounts of pace on the wings, and then a striker that can keep the ball and hold the ball. And I don't think Eze has sort of, I don't think he's got that sheer pace that gets you ahead of a defender or whatever. I think Savinho does. I think Kudus does. I think Odegaard probably does as well. But I'm not sure. Johnson should as well, but whether we actually see it. But I think that he will be suited to a 10. He'll get on the ball. He'll drop in deep. He'll drop into pockets. He can run the channels, as we said, kind of with Gibbs White a lot. He can run the channels. He can carry the ball and do things like that. But yeah, for now, I think he's probably going to be the 10. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We'll come back to this one because I think this is a good comment that Frank should maybe give him potentially a free role. And we know how fluid Frank's tactics are, especially as he can move it up to a 5 at the back like he did, that we were surprised about against PSG, then played at 4 at the back at the weekend, of course, against Burnley. It is fluid. It also changes in games depending on how it's going. Don't forget, we haven't really been losing a game yet in a competitive match. Don't forget, under Frank. So we don't know how we're going to play when we start losing, right? Because it could be all guns blazing. But you'd expect it. You've seen it at Brentford with Mbeumo, Sade and Vissa, how exciting their football can be on the front foot as well. But obviously we were 2-0 up against PSG. We were 3-0 up against Burnley. We haven't really seen that with Thomas Frank yet. So that's another point to consider. I just want to bring up... Go on.
So it's one thing that I really like, and I've seen so far twice with us in competitive games now, and you saw a lot of last season, is we seem to start fast, which is really important. Like Brentford did it last year, and they scored in the first minute, 3 weeks on the trot or something. And it's really important because so many games that I can think of under Ange and under Conte, Mourinho, a lot less so Pochettino because we grew into just a rhythm after a while. But those sort of in the middle, we'd play teams like Burnley at home and it'd be 0-0 at half time. And once a game's 0-0 at half time against one of those teams, they will just get deeper and deeper and deeper, and they're happy to do that. And then they become tougher to break down. Whereas now, if you go 1-0 up against these teams, they can't just sit, because if they do, you're going to win that game. And Burnley kind of continued to sit, and then we got a second, and then it was done. And that wins you games. And so that's something that I've really impressed with. They seem to be starting fast. I mean, that PSG game, they had something like 10 shots in the first 30 minutes or so. They were not all great chances, but they were trying things. They were trying to work things. And the same on Saturday as well. I mean, when you scored in the first 30 seconds, I mean, Johnson put a ball in and there was Bergvall at the back post. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it's been an exciting start. And I think, as I say, adding quality in Eze, and it'd be nice if Savinho, but someone of that type, adding quality in should only in theory make you better.
Absolutely, mate. Completely agree. Completely agree with what you're saying. And yeah, it's nice to start games off quicker, because I feel like under Ange, as much as Ange Postecoglou football had its highs and lows, it was too often we were losing at half time. And hopefully it's much more on the front foot from the beginning with Frank and with quality like Eberechi Eze coming in, hopefully more through the door soon. We'll get into the Savinho news in a minute, guys. Appreciate we're half an hour in. We've only talked about Eze, but what can you expect? What an exciting signing. This is one of our biggest signings in recent history, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to get through some comments. There's 200 of you in the house now. Look at that support. Really appreciate all the numbers. Please do me 3 favors. If you can spare 10 seconds and your goodwill, please like the video. Let's get that to 100 likes. Everyone like this video. That would be great. That's the minimum. Subscribe if you are new. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers. We're trying to go live every single day. We're trying to give you guys content every single day. Tactics, match reviews, interviews outside the stadium, match day vlogs. It's all coming on Spurs Related. So get your notification bells on as well, which is also free to do so. And if you want to support the channel in any way, shape or form and become a member and come and talk on this channel with Frank and I, please become a Spurs Relatable member, which is down below in the description of the video. If you click on the description, you can join as a member. It's £2 a month. You can come on this very channel and talk with us and get your opinions over, as well as the super chat option to skip the queue with all these comments coming in. So I can get some talking points out as well. But back to the video. Rob Davies, really like this comment, mate. He said, just subscribe, guys. Saw you on Sean Butler's channel last night and was really impressed. How refreshing that you don't shout at each other. Top work. Well, Frank and I behind the scenes, we're having a right Barney with it. No, joking. We don't really appreciate that, Rob. Actually, Sean may be joining us in a minute. He's just messaged me, so he might be coming on as well. Listeners saying, when did we last sign 3 players like Eze, Paulinho and Kudus? decades ago. People are being cheap with their transfer window rating. Listen, I'd give this a 7 or an 8. I'd probably give it an 8 with EZE, but if we get another signing as well, or another 2 signings, it's 9, 10 caliber, right? It really is. It's a really, really positive window. Let's try and be positive. We try and keep it positive on this channel without being deluded. We'll always say if we think something's wrong, but we just keep it real with you guys. Brad, what a name. 2 Brads. From what I heard is that City are not in a hurry to sell him now. So now they're asking too much more than Spurs think he's worth that. Or is that old news? Brad, we're going to give Savinho news in just a minute because I know everyone's dying. I think everyone's had enough of EZE. Can you believe I'm saying that? Everyone's had enough of us talking about every EZE, Frank. Jeff Bargery, if EZE had played Thursday for Palace, would he be cup tied in the Champions League for us? Very good question. I think that is probably one of the big concerns because I believe, or no, actually, I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure if you played in the Europa League or the Conference League, you can play in the Champions League. But it's a weird rule where it's not the other way around. I think if you played in the Champions League that season, you can't then play in the Europa League and Conference League. We'll have to double check that one. It's a really good question. These are the types of questions we need to make talking points, by the way. Jason D saying, is EZE confirmed? Well, it's not official. But as per Paul O'Keefe and other sources today, a deal has been agreed. We already know personal terms had been agreed with a player. And the fee should be around 55 to 60 million pounds plus add-ons. We reckon that here he goes within the next 24, 48 hours. I'm surprised Fabrizio's been so quiet on this, given that our other aggregators have gone earlier. So anyway, what else have we got? Cup tied is a concern, but what if you got injured? Let's not even talk about injuries. You know, let's not even go there. We've got to stay positive. He's 27 years old, or maybe 28. He's in his prime now. You know, we need him right now because he will elevate us massively. He is such a good player. I think everyone agrees with on that one. It's easy to build a house with all the best material, says Romeo. Yeah, fair point. Roy Park saying, love the name Roy Park. I don't know what it is. Feels like an old FIFA stadium or something, you know, when you're on career mode. The Romero signing is his new contract cannot be understated. It locks down a defense for years to come. Absolutely. This is as important as a signing. This is as important as a signing. Absolutely. Romero, captain. Now rumors that he's leaving to Atletico Madrid, which was talked about all summer. Finally, we can squash that. And, you know, he is the club's highest earner. That's what it's been said to be, up to 200k a week potentially. So I think no one in the squad deserves it more than Christian Romero, in my opinion. And as Cantab said there, as Spence as well. Keep your comments coming in, guys. Keep them coming in. Nearly 220 of you in the house now. Keep smashing the like button. Keep subscribing if you're new. We're going to keep bringing you the content every single day as Spurs related. So turn those noti bells on as well. I know you're bored of me saying it, but it helps us. It helps the algorithm. And it helps us bring you great content and invest and bring you all the latest. So really appreciate all the support. Frank, let's get back to I said we're going to move to Savinho, but I wanted to mention this. Frank, do you want to take the mic on this one? This stat you brought up about EZE?
Yeah, go on. So it's basically that, you know, how brilliant he is, simply. He's the only Palace player since their promotion in 2013 to get 10 goals in 3 consecutive, 10 or more goals in 3 consecutive seasons. Zaha didn't do it. Elise didn't do it. Benteke didn't do it. Not even Glenn Murray did it, as it says there. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it recently. I know that you're very of the opinion that EZE is no less of a player than Elise. And I wouldn't really disagree, by the way, either. But I think this kind of shows it. It's only one of 2 current players to have 10 league goal seasons for Crystal Palace, which is, Palace have obviously improved since maybe Benteke, Murray, Zaha played for them. That's probably should be mentioned, but it's still a pretty impressive stat. So, as I say, he was part of that team when they were a lesser-ish sort of sides, and he's come through that. He's come through the other end. He's made them a lot of money, and he was a massive part of them winning the FA Cup. So he scored in the final. So yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm sure they will be disappointed that he's gone because he's an unbelievable player. He's a top talent. And by all accounts, he's a pretty top guy as well. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited to have him as a character, as a player, as everything at Tottenham. I think he'll chime in with goals, which is important. Obviously, we all were a little bit worried about Kudus's numbers being a little bit low when he came in. That looks like it's going to change. We've seen from the first couple of games anyway. That looks like it's probably going to change. But this isn't an initial worry with Eze. His numbers are good, his goals are good, his assists are good, all fine, and he slots into a gap in that Tottenham team that we have. We don't really have a ball carrier. Bergvall can do it, but I'm talking a ball carrier that can also be a creator and really create chances. Bergvall can, but he's not an attacking midfielder. There's a real difference between being an attacking 8 and a number 10. I think there's quite a difference, and I think he's a proper 10. He's gonna score you goals. He's gonna create chances. He's gonna take set pieces. And as we saw at Chelsea the other day, he's gonna wind people up as well. And I like that. I like players that have a little bit of spite. I like the players that frustrate you and rise up to big occasions. And I think he's one that does that. So yeah, all in all, very excited.
Absolutely, mate. It's unbelievable stats, and I completely agree with you. I think he's more naturally a number 10. You want to see that attacking prowess going into the 12-yard box, the 18-yard box, and really causing absolute problems for the opposition, as we know he does, running at defenders. He's got a decent shot on him, scores some absolute belters, and his goal scoring reflects that. 10 plus goals in the last, in 3 consecutive seasons. The fact that Zaha didn't do that, who was regarded as a Crystal Palace legend. Elise, we know how good he is, going to Bayern Munich. Benteke, well, he was a bit hot and cold, wasn't he? Let's be honest. But Glenn Murray, he really is a Palace legend. Scored so many goals. That is an impressive stat. And we know that he should be contributing to goals. So I guess the question for the chat, it's engagement time. How many goals and assists do you think Eberechi Eze will get in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt this season? Touch wood. No injuries, right? How many goals? How many assists? Frank, I'm going to go to you with this question. I'm going to put you on the spot. How many goals and assists do you think that Eberechi Eze can deliver for Tottenham this season?
If he stays fit, in all competitions in the Premier League, what are we talking?
Good question. I should have clarified that. Let's go all competitions.
Let's go all in all. I see a world where he could hit near enough 20 in the Premier League alone. So providing he stays fit, I think we could be looking at between 25 and 30 for the season. Because I think we'll probably, obviously, got a couple more games in the Champions League now. Got 8 in that. I don't imagine we'll finish in the top 8 in that. Not to, we might well do, but it's a difficult ask. So we're probably going to have another 2 playoff games. And so we're looking at probably 10 games in the Champions League at least. You're going to have cup games. You're obviously going to have your 38 league games as well. So I think 25 to 30 is certainly feasible in all competitions, but I think we could, if he stays fit, we could be looking at probably 20 in the Premier League because we're going to score a lot of goals.
That's a high number. I think you've gone higher than some people in the chat there, Frank. I'll be honest. I'm not saying you're wrong, mate, for sure. Cantab saying 15. Simo's going 8 goals, 11 assists. Diacon's going 18 goals and assists. C-Mac's gone 20. Jeff's gone 15. Voided's gone 19 to 20. Scott's gone 23. All competitions, 10 goals, 10 assists. I think that's I reckon that will be an insane return. 10 goals and 10 assists, in my opinion. That would be very, very good. And that would justify the price tag as well for me. 24. So we're very, very, very much in the sort of 15 to 3 bracket. I think any of that's good. I think if he got 15 goal contributions this season, everyone will be saying, what a season for Eze. And don't forget, it's not solely down to goal contributions in how well a player performs. It's also how he plays in the team. If he's assisting assists as well, if he's really contributing to the whole movement of the team going forwards, that would be interesting to see as well. Cantab said you went very high. 100 says Jack, but no, I'll keep doing these engagement sessions. Let me know if you guys enjoy putting your comments in and let me know those sort of questions. So I'll keep doing them every sort of 10-15 minutes. Keep you guys make sure you guys aren't falling asleep watching us. Right, so okay. I've also seen that there's been some controversy on social media, and I went early on the Eze deal. I got the information that it was deal done yesterday. I put it out there. I got people saying I'm a pretend in the know, and I said in the comment I'm not an in the know, but I'm just putting out what I've been told. So I respect people like this Timothy guy. I think what you want, but he is only doing what essentially people want to know, is giving us updates. You can choose to believe it, you can choose not to believe it, but we put it on the screen because actually there hasn't been too much from journalists on EZE today. But apparently the stumbling block is currently EZE's agents, and that they're messing around demanding more bonuses and agent fees, and that should be resolved in the coming hours. If so, EZE to Spurs will be a done deal. As said, club talks are fully done. Spurs want it done today. And I feel like this is, again, let Diacon saying Timothy's a good source, but it definitely, we know, rests on the EZE Here We Go rests on if Crystal Palace have lined up their replacement. If Crystal Palace haven't got a replacement 10 in the form of El Canous, Solis, or any other number 10 that they're linked with or negotiating with, that's why EZE papers won't be fully signed and Here We Go until that moment happens. So that's why people are saying, why has it not been Here We Go? I mean, it could be Here We Go while we're still live. Like, that's, I'm sure, will happen in as soon as, you know, if we see a Here We Go for a Palace number 10, it's got to be like any minute you get the EZE one as well. Like, I don't know what comes first, but I think it is hinging on that. That's for sure. I think we need to move on to Savinho, Frank. I mean, this has been a very positive stream so far. I hope people in the chat won't now go negative and everything else, because it is one source that we're going to bring up on screen. And keep your comments coming in, guys. Wow, 250 of you in the house now. Really appreciate the support. 91 likes. Let's get over the 100 likes mark as well. But Frank, let's talk about Savinho, because the latest is from, we could probably bring it on screen as well, but that is from Taglieri. What's his name? Sasha Taglieri, who works for, I think he's one of these independent ones again, but he's been pretty good this window, I believe. And he said that Savinho is set to stay at Manchester City. And the tweet says, even if Guardiola pushes for Rodrigo move, Pep faces some internal headwinds that blocked the new deal almost over, as Rodrigo never asked formally to leave Real Madrid, that he wanted to leave Real Madrid. So again, this Savinho deal seems to be hinging on what happens with Rodrigo. If Rodrigo doesn't go from Real Madrid to Manchester City, that proves a problem for Savinho, it seems. Frank, anything I've missed there? And before I bring you in, actually, I just wanted to bring up a comment, because I really do like bringing up the nice comments, and I've already lost it, so that's not gone well. Oh, here we go. It's from Jeff. Nick Kyrgios is his profile picture. What a guy he is, by the way. Big up, lads. Both speak very well and have earned a new subscribe and a like. And I appreciate anyone that's also new, like Jeff, to subscribe to the channel, because we're on the march to 4K. I know, guys, I hate doing the plug-in, but I have to do it because it helps us grow, and especially when the numbers are insane. But anyway, back to Savinho, Frank. What do you think? Do you think that this does hinge on the Rodrigo thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a feeling. I think I said yesterday, it might be the day before, that I think this could have kind of been a bit of a PR move, or a bit of a, you know, can't think of the word. What's it called when you're going for someone else and you chuck this out in the news? Yeah, that's the one. So I think it could well be. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if in the next day, out of literally nowhere, a bit like the Gibbs White one broke out of nowhere, we get someone completely random and not a name that's really been thrown around. Yeah. You know, just someone literally out of nothing. The Spurs go, he's got a release clause, we're going to go and buy him. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I want Savinho to happen. I really do. But as I say, I've seen Spurs kind of do this before. We saw it with Luis Diaz and Kulusevski a few years ago. We've you know, the list is endless with things like this. So, yeah, I mean, it's a shame if it's true. I don't want it to be true. I think he's top. I think he's an exciting player. I think his ceiling's really high. And I said that I was probably a little bit more excited about him actually than EZE. Not in any disrespect to EZE, but both are brilliant. But this really excited me. I like the idea of having real pace on both wings and skill and flair and that creativity. But that obviously isn't going to happen. I'm not sure who they go for instead. There's obviously a number of options. I guess we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's a disappointment if it is true.
Yeah, for sure. And guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Savinho, do you think it's off based on this source? I mean, Sasha Tavolieri, like I said, all things THFC rating him very highly, but not necessarily, you don't necessarily always trust just one source on these things. So yeah, let's not be negative. Craig Wilson, as expected, lads. No, Craig, let's keep the positivity. I mean, if you told me like we could sign EZE or Savinho at the start of this window, you'd be buzzing. The fact that our expectation has now become we need both is kind of crazy, don't you think, Frank, to an extent?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because it's kind of dragged on a little bit, and we obviously won a European trophy and all these kind of things. I guess expectation does build, and it feels like it's got to a point where they have to. It's kind of make or break now for Daniel Levy and Enoch. They kind of have to invest. So I think that's all it kind of builds on. But yeah, I mean, it's you don't want to be greedy, and beggars can't be choosers a little bit, I guess. But it would be nice to have them both, or have two very high quality players come in alongside Mohamed Kudus as well.
Absolutely. John's saying it's brinkmanship from City. I think we can get him as well. Late to the show, lad, says Kev G. Good to see you both on. We weren't on Last Word of the Spurs. We were on Spurs Talk Show, but I think that's what you mean. But yeah, we were on there. Thanks for tuning in. David Clark, good to see you, David. He said Man City's general manager Ferran Soriano has blocked Savinho's transfer because of the bad feeling between him and Levy over the Kane and Walker transfers. Well, let's be honest, we sold Walker to Man City, so they can't be annoyed about that one. Daniel Field saying Savinho will be that cherry on the top. What shirt number would Eze wear? Probably number 7. You'd imagine, surely, with Sonny going, you'd imagine it would be that. Eze is number 1, says Frederick. Big up yourself, mate. Ronnie's saying a replacement could take days is rubbish. I think so. Do you think there would be a curveball signing? I think there's one more big one they've got up their sleeve that they're keeping under wraps. I really do think that that could be possible. C-Max is saying we should get Lookman. I'll tell you what, one more engagement piece, because you guys are absolutely loving the engagement pieces. With the thinking that Eze's done and will be announced, and we'll get Here We Go very soon, and with the thinking that Savinho is pretty much off the table potentially, we'll bring you more on that soon if more comes out. Who is the one player now that you would sign for Tottenham Hotspur if you got the opportunity? Whack it in the comments below. Let us know what you're thinking. And Frank, as I always do, because I put you on the spot all the time, mate, who is that one signing that you would make if it's not Savinho before the end of the window, and obviously Eze being done?
Oh, it's really difficult. I think there's a lot of options. I was looking at a list a minute ago, sort of similar players in stats and things. I think a dream one, we ain't going to get him because Newcastle are already selling EZE, probably are, is actually Anthony Gordon. Gordon would be one that would be quite high up on my list. I don't think Gordon would happen, as I say, because they won't lose them both in a window. But Gordon would be one that if you could, I imagine would probably be of 70, 80, that sort of price again.
Yeah.
Nico Williams is obviously up there. I imagine would be a lot more than that. Leao's a similar sort of price. I spoke yesterday a little bit about Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think. Hudson-Odoi is a player I actually quite like. I think people probably turn their nose up because, it looks like a cheap option. Having said that, they ain't going to deal with Marinakis again, so that's probably off the cards. Yankuba Minte at Brighton. I like Mitoma at Brighton.
Yeah.
There's certainly options out there. I mean, Dan Ndoye before he went to Forest was certainly an option. So yeah, I'd say any of those lot. Maybe Mitoma. I would have probably taken Marcus Rashford. That's sort of. I think if I had to pick though, I think Gordon would probably be my number 1. As I say, very unlikely.
Okay.
There's a comment there about Hudson-Odoi being serious value for money. I think that's probably a good point. That if you could then spend 75 and you could get Callum Hudson-Odoi at 30 odd or whatever he could cost you, and Hincapié or something, then that would be great. Ademola Lookman, Semenyo, if there's a release clause in that contract, that'd be amazing. But obviously you signed a new contract this summer. Nusa.
Semenyo would be through the roof, though, especially scoring 2 at
Yeah.
Anfield first game, signing a new deal to what, 2030, was it? It was quite a long deal, 2029 maybe.
But other than that, I mean, there's not. Yeah, Akluiche is one that we've kind of spoken about. He's a little bit more of an inside sort of player.
I tell you what, Frank. While I'm gonna bring up some comments of the people that have put who they'd get in the chat. While I'm doing that, you're gonna bring up the screen in a minute on potential left wing options. So we'll do that. It'll be a bit of a fun segment to do. Jake's saying if we get EZE, this means we've already signed Palhinha, Kudus, and EZE. When have Spurs ever signed this level of player? 1, let alone 3. Great point, Jake. I think it's an exciting window. It's a good time to be a Tottenham fan. It's exciting, guys. I'm not even going to just pretend it's all singing and dancing and rainbows here, but it is a good signing, that's for sure. That is for sure. Frank will bring that up in just a second. Cool. So we've got Chris, we've got EZE coming in, obviously. Nico Williams says Christoph. Timo Werner. Liao says Kantab. Jeff saying Rodrigo. Got Lookman, Rogers, Mitoma. Some good names here. Semenyo says Colin, Harvey Barnes. So many comments today, guys. I really appreciate all the support, by the way. Hopefully you guys will be tuning in, every day, because we're going to be bringing you those live streams every day. Again, we're not going to come off the gas again. Jake saying Semenyo. Akaluche says Rob, who you mentioned, I believe Frank. Paul saying Noosa. I've heard Noosa rumors again. Kangin Lee. Or Matoma would be dream stuff.
Just quickly, there's a super chat I think that's come through.
Oh, look at that! I tell you what, I think the super chats are glitching because something's going wrong with Spurs YouTube, UK YouTube. But I will bring that up. Absolutely, John Brooklyn, first super chat of the stream. Absolutely love it. He's saying thank you for that, mate. Really appreciate that. He's saying, well. I don't think there is a comment unless it's glitched. Might have to check the YouTube app, Frank.
It says a sparkling diamond. I guess is what they want. Is what he wants for as a left winger.
Look at that, mate. I appreciate that. I would love to bring up the sparkling diamond on YouTube, but I've heard that YouTube is glitching. But yeah, appreciate that, mate. Maybe we can get a little super chat train, as some other channels like to call it, a little choo-choo for the EZE hype. But I really appreciate that, John. And if anyone else wants to put in a super chat and also comment, skip the queue like Frank just did there, brought it out before everyone else's comment, completely interrupted my flow, but that's part of it, That is part of it if you want to put a super chat in. Donna Cullen, Wargon, Mr. James. There's always Donna Cullen coming in there. Anyway, where was I at? Mika Twadze was another one we could discuss. Anthony Gordon would be a great replacement, says John. Marinakis won't sell us. Callum Hudson-Odoi. I don't think we're going to be going near Forest again. Semenyo is a Ghanaian friend of Kudus. Good point. Mika Twadze can play left wing and striker. Adeyemi's one I've heard about. That would be exciting, wouldn't it, Frank? Adeyemi, what a player he is. Unbelievably quick, unbelievably good. Mr. Frank Thomas, I missed your beautiful face in my lonely life. Dollar Cullen, thanks so much for your comments as always.
I'll take that.
Perhaps something left field like Ndai. Is he at Everton still?
Yeah, I that's one I'd be up for, actually. I imagine it would probably cost you a decent sum, but I saw they were looking at, he might have gone to Inter Milan, and the Italians don't tend to pay massive fees for players. So I'd imagine that'd probably be 40 odd. And if that is the case, he's a proper dribbler and he's maybe not the quickest in the world, but he's a dribbler. It'd be exciting, put it that way.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Yildiz is one that we should look at. I tell you what, mate, guys, keep bringing in your chats. I'll bring them up eventually. And like I said, if it's a super chat, it creates a talking point that we literally pause the stream for and talk about. You can do that as cheap as 99 pence. So if you want to do that, you can. Make sure you're smashing the likes still. How many likes we got? 114. Let's try and get that to 150 before the end of the stream. With 280 in the chat now, by the way. Best stream in a little while. Really, really appreciate the support. Don't think I'm just saying that. I really do, honestly, hand on heart, appreciate all the support. But let's bring it up, Frank. Let's bring up your screen. Got to remove the other one. 1 second, guys. Here we go. Frank, if you want to bring it on now, should work. There we go. There we go. Right. So you're on a site that's comparing Similar players to Savinho. I think this one will be interesting, actually. So you got Elise, he's off the table. And Bueno, he's off the table, obviously. Pulisic, surely we can't get him from AC Milan.
No, I mean it would be very Tottenham, wouldn't it, to tap into the American market?
That's true.
You know, they've had the Asian market, they obviously had the Australian market. They obviously now tap into the American market would make a lot of sense. I don't think he will be one they go for. I don't mind Pulisic. I think he's right. It's the kind of he had a decent year last year, but I think he was all right in the Premier League. Leao obviously is one we've spoken about quite a lot. I'm not convinced by Rafael Leao. I know a lot of people probably are. But yeah, no, I'm not massively convinced yet. I'd like to. I question why at 26 he's not come to the Premier League yet. Or he's always kind of been at Milan. His numbers are all right. They're not that special. And every time I've kind of watched him, I've not been blown away. So I'm a little bit reluctant. But that's someone that hasn't watched enough of him commenting. So you know, if there are people that are watching that have seen a lot more of him, then please tell me I'm wrong, because. Yeah, because as I say, I've not seen enough of him. Jeremy Doku, I'd rather not. It's the simple, you know, if they're going to pay, I think he'd probably be a relatively similar price to Savinho, and I'd like to hope they find a way to get Savinho. If that's the case, Hudson-Odoi, I do like Hudson-Odoi for the right price. That says 27 million euros. I think it'd be a little bit more than that, but value for money, as that comment said. Cliver, a little bit more central, but yeah, I mean, I'm not blown away that he's the top option. So yeah, there's definitely some good names. Harvey Barnes, another one that probably didn't mention. Whether or not you get him again is a different argument. Minte, I mentioned. Gordon, I mentioned. Brennan Johnson, interestingly. Jacob Murphy, couldn't think of anything worse. Alex Iwobi, I think he's all right, but not as this sort of option. Kangin Lee's one's been thrown around. I'm not sure he's kind of your left winger. And Dan and Doyle down there as well. So quite a few names we've kind of mentioned. I think from that list of players, I would look at Gordon, Hudson-Odoi.
Minte. He's actually very good, Minte.
Yeah,
he's
Minte and probably Nico Williams.
Is he 21? He's only 21.
Yeah, 21. He's one that I quite like as well.
How much Brighton would accept would be an interesting one. Let's look into Yildiz. Can you search players? I can take your screen off for a minute if you want to search it. Yildiz might be an interesting one to look into, because I've seen about 7 people comment him. Max Crumpter saying, isn't Minte more of a right winger? That's also a good point. He potentially, would play more off the right. This is just players that are similar to Savinho, not necessarily our left winger. Of course, if we're looking at left wing. But the other argument, guys, is something I also discussed yesterday is, do we need a right winger? Because we've seen that Johnson could maybe work on the left if we need more numbers. We've got Tell, we've got Odebear. You can argue amongst yourselves if you think they're good enough. But do we need a right winger? Because we've got Kudus, we've got Johnson. Kulusevski's injured. Am I forgetting someone there, Frank? That's pretty much it on the right. So do we actually need a right winger? That's a question for the chat. Another interaction section. The chat is going nuts, by the way. I'm trying to keep up with it. Right. Chris Stiff is saying, let's get Brennan Johnson, guys. He's similar to Savinho. Lucky's saying, pretty sure Brighton only signed Minte from Newcastle last summer. Yeah. That is correct. He's very left-footed, right winger. Brighton only signed him a year ago. Yildiz, we got to look into Yildiz. And Kubo, we got to look into Kubo, says the Chinese guy, JY. Thanks for coming in, mate. By the way, so many new subscribers this stream. I think I refreshed it and we got about 60 new subs. So incredible support, guys. Really appreciate it. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already and the like button, please do so. We're trying to go live for as long as we can, bring you guys as much content as possible. Citizens saying Premier League, winner gets the trophy, second gets Arsenal. Love it, mate. Can you close that? Yeah, nice. Yeah. Right. So this is... Let's bring that up like that. Let's close that. This is Yildiz.
Kenan Yildiz. This is his whole career.
Right.
So see if we go down here. These are his sort of positions as predominantly as a second striker and a left winger. which kind of feels like it is perfect. We've spoken about these inside forwards that Thomas Frank uses, players that can score goals off the wings, but also be wide wingers and dribble and be quick and create things. And so, as a profile, that looks pretty good.
What's his positions played? Go to his, zoom in on his positions played just there again. So mainly left wing, 49 games, 10 goals, 9 assists. That's a pretty good return.
Mm-hmm.
Second striker, 16. So second striker, a goal contribution every other game, right? 25 and 50. Left wing, 19 and 46. Right wing, not as good. So similar. Second striker and left winger, which is kind of the mold it seems like we're looking for, right?
Yeah, just another thing as well, just on a slightly different note, and this may have nothing to do with us. I'm just pointing out, Bournemouth have just signed Adley from Bayer Leverkusen for 30 million euros. That's the second winger now. Winger or attacker they've signed in the last day at 25 million quid. I know they've made a lot of money, but they're probably still a defender or two short. It may have nothing to do with any of them leaving, but also on the flip side, I wonder if one of that lot are going. Kluivert we spoke about, Savinho we spoke about. So, I mean, it's unlikely, but that's just a point that I just saw come up. In regards to Kenan Yildiz, I mean, the only thing I would want to check, so how old is Yildiz now?
He's quite young still. I can find it, don't worry.
He's 20. So he's 20 on the 4th of May he was. He's obviously young. He's played 9,591 minutes. I feel like that's probably quite a lot for someone that's young. And as great as that is, experience-wise, I have worries sometimes when people play that much at a young age, because they end up burning out quicker. That's a fair amount of games. So yeah, he's certainly one I would have to probably look into more. But as I say, I'm a little bit, there's a comment there as well about Prem proven. I think you're going to have to pay a lot of money for Kenan Yildiz. And my worry is that if he either breaks down at a young age, having played a lot already and been a big part of Juve already. You see it with Saka, that Saka played such a high amount of minutes. Sterling did as well at a young age, that by the time Sterling hits 28, 29, his body's basically cropped and then he can't deal with it. And so my worry a little bit sometimes with some of these young guys when they're playing that much at a young age, especially given the amount of money that they're probably going to put forward for him. So I think that he would not be my first choice. I think Gordon would probably be my first choice, but as I say, it's unlikely that would happen.
But having said that, I get your point about the minutes played for such a young player, but it has to be said that Juventus are having financial difficulties, right?
Yeah,
and
great.
May require selling players. Like we've spoken about Vlahovic, we've spoken about Yildiz. We even were speaking about other players from Juventus earlier in the window. They may sell. They may be. I'm not throwing this out there as in like Spurs are definitely signing Yildiz. Of course not. It's probably a 1% chance. But Juventus may be forced to sell players based on their financial difficulties. Juventus are quoted 90 million euros. The fans absolutely love him. He is their fan favourite. I'm pretty sure he's arguably their best player at the moment, or certainly their player with the highest ceiling. That's for sure. So yeah, it would take a lot for Juventus to sell, but there is that financial issue as well. We could quickly talk about centre backs, Frank, for the last bit. I'll let you get that centre back screen up. Maybe we mould it on Hincapié, who we were linked with, who looks like he's probably staying at Bayer Leverkusen. But Bayer Leverkusen, wow, they've had their absolute spine ripped out their team with Adley going as well. Incredible. How much would Semenyo be after his new contract? Surely they can't demand more than 70 mil. Yeah, it does seem like that would be pretty extortionate, given the new contract for Savinho goes on till, let's find out, 2030. So 5-year contract is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Mr. Wignall saying Juventus aren't struggling. They want to raise the money to buy Moani for 60 odd million. That would be incredible, selling Yildiz and then getting Moani. I mean, that would, in my opinion, not be smart business. Trouble being our squad is overloaded and the homegrown quota isn't breathtaking. Good point. Good points all round, guys. I'm sorry if I've missed some of your comments. I will be honest. Interesting. Guys, bit of a random one. How are you guys getting on your fantasy Premier League? How did you get on your first week, Frank? I know not to digress and take the focus off this while you're bringing up the centre backs. How'd you get on?
I did all right. I got 73 points this week.
73. Guys, put in the comments what you got on your fantasy football. Surely most of you do fantasy football. I'll be interested to see what I got. I think I was doing quite well.
I was utterly carried by Haaland as my captain, and Kudus did all right as well. So kind of carried me through, yeah.
Oh, there you go. I got, what did you get? 70? 73?
73, yeah.
I got 61. Maybe we should set up a Spurs-related fantasy football league and be interesting to see how. I know most of you guys do it. I tell you what, what I'll do is put a little yes if you want a Spurs-related YouTube fantasy football, because I don't think it's too late to set up a league. And guys, we are coming back.
It carries over from the first week.
Don't just all click off the video because I'm talking about fantasy football, because I know it's not for everyone, but I'm sure most of you play it. Put yes in the chat now. If we get more than 10, I'll set up a fantasy football league before the end of this stream, and I'll put it in the chat. Maybe we'll do a prize for the winner at the end of the year. Be something to talk about every time we go live. Lots of yeses already. Looks like I'm going to be doing that. Keep putting your yes in if you want it. Frank, have you got up the centre backs?
I have. Let me share it quickly.
Okay, let's
quite
do that.
Quite a strange list, I have to be honest.
Okay, Toby Tottenham got 86 points. Fair play, mate. Fair play. EZE, is that EZE? Roman EZE.
Roman EZE. That could be interesting if EZE leaves and comes to us.
Right, how many yeses have we got? 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
5 yeses. Yeah, if we get over 10 yeses, I'll make a fantasy football league and put it in the chat. And we'll do a prize for the winners. There's 250 of you in the chat. Let's see if you guys want to do fantasy football. But let's talk about 93. Surely not. That means you're one of the best in the country. That's nuts. Looks like we're doing a fantasy football league. Right, I love that. We'll do that. That'll be good fun. These are the molds similar to Piero Incapie, who plays for Bayer Leverkusen. Frank, do you want to take the mic on this one?
Yeah, it started giving me a load of right-footed centre-halves and Elliot Anderson, who's a midfielder. So I'm obviously got to cancel some of these out.
What site is this? What site is this?
This is footballtransfers.com.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not I think that, is it Y Scout or something? I think that's probably a better one that I need to actually have a look at and learn how to use. But going through, Evan and Dick is one we've been linked to for years, it feels like. I thought he was older than 25, actually. I don't think they will do that. I mean, they might do. He's one they obviously know about, but I don't think he's had a great time at Roma. Lenormand is one that did well in the Euros, was part of that Spain team that were very good in the Euros. So that could be an interesting one. At Atletico Madrid, though, and probably priced out of that, I imagine, given he's 28. But looking through this list, there ain't a boatload of left-sided ones. Pau Torres is a good player. Certainly, if Villa are in sort of financial trouble, he would be an interesting one that I would look for. He's a good passer. Can play that sort of role. Maxime Lacroix, I think he'd be too expensive, especially if they're getting Eze as well. I think Nathan Ake is probably the most interesting one on that list, actually. I think Ake at 30 years old, yes, but you bring in a player with experience at the top of the Premier League and in Europe for what will be probably quite a cheap deal now. I don't know how long he's got left on his contract. I mean, that says 19 million euros. I'm not sure what he's got left on that. But Nathan Ake, until Vuskovic learns another year, Takai, the same. And obviously, Radu Dragusin will be a year fitter as well by next summer. That maybe someone like Nathan Ake in for the 20 million quid or whatever it might cost you might be quite an interesting buy as a left footer.
Nathan Ake, he doesn't really get. Does he get much? He doesn't get loads of game time at City these days, does he?
So that could be an interesting one. That wouldn't be the greatest shock in the world to me if that was one that they looked at.
By the way, Frank, while you're doing this, just a quick one on the FPL. Do you guys want to start the scoring from game week 1? People have got the good points. Going to say yes, or from game week 2. But GW1 if you want the scoring to start from last week, or GW2 if you want it to start from next week. Frank, you're going to say GW1, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that.
Let us know in the comments, guys. But yeah, sorry, Frank, keep going.
Yeah, there's not, as I say, I'd have to do proper research on centre halves. Okay, so it looks like a whitewash for game week 1.
It's quite close. I don't know.
Ooh.
1-1-1-1-1. That's 5. 2 GW2s. 5v2 at the moment. Let's see. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So as I say, that I'd have to do some proper research on centre halves. Maybe for the next pod, I'll have a proper look at some good centre halves that could fit that mould. Because I think they need another one that can play, or as a direct left back. I mean, like direct left back. I mean, we have a look. Similar players to Destiny Udogie. Let me have a quick look at that, because that there's no guarantee they need a centre half. They could go for a left back and hope that Mickey van der Ven stays fit. I mean, on this, never mind. This list gives you bloody Trossard, because he's a left back similar to Udogie, isn't he? I mean, what an awful list. I'll ignore that one. That don't give you much, but yeah. So that's something I probably have to have a proper look at on hopefully a better website than the one I'm using.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hincapié would be an absolute dream if they got him done. I mean, I would love that. So sorry, one sec. What's this? Something about Savinho has come through from in the know, but it's not really massive information, so nothing's really changed.
Interesting stuff. I tell you what we'll do is we'll get thoughts on some of these potential other signings from a special guest that's just joined the studio. And guys, we'll be live for a good few more minutes. I know Frank, you got going about 10, but the numbers are still pretty insane. So we'll bring him in. It is none other than Spurs Mud Show or Spurs Talk Show, no matter what do you want to call him these days. I don't know. Depends how he's feeling about his chairman, and that is Sean Butler himself. Sean, it's been about 3 years since you've been on here, mate. How you doing, man?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, how are you?
Very good, thanks, mate. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Frank.
I didn't mean that rudely. You haven't been on for 3 years, by the way. It's just we haven't been here for about 2 of them, and it's an absolute.
When you say Spurs Mud Show, listen, I went live a couple of hours ago saying, my chairman is done. And apparently, it's done. Paul O'Keefe said it. James was straight in the chat saying, "I told you all. I told you yesterday." Like he was sitting there at 11:59 p.m. telling everyone it's nearly midnight, and yet it isn't done, James. It isn't done. So who's really in the mud here? Who's really in the mud?
Yeah,
you're right, TK. That's who's in the mud, bro.
Yeah, Spurs Mud related, maybe, mate. But no, good to have you on, mate. Always good fun when you come on. Appreciate you coming on. As well. We were just talking about, Sean, as you probably saw, we were doing comparisons to centre-back moulds that are similar to Hierro and Hincapié. Hincapié obviously quite unlikely to join Tottenham based on the fact that apparently Bayer Leverkusen want to keep him. I mean, they're throwing away everyone else. Who would you like to see at that sort of left centre-back, left-back mould if we were to go on and get someone? We've talked about, obviously, Savinho replacement, so I'll get your thoughts on that, because there has been big news, Sean, I'm sure you've seen it, that according to a couple of different journalists, Savinho may not now happen. It's not as likely as EZE, of course. But going back to the first question on the centre-back, left-back sort of mould, who's in your sort of calibre, mate?
I think the market's fairly dry, if I'm entirely honest. If you're looking for a left-back, I'd still like Anthony Robinson. I don't mind Cambiasso at Juve as well. I think they're both good players. But there's not a lot in the left-back mould. I think the market's dry. And then as a centre-back, if we're looking for a hybrid guy, if not Hincapié, Castello Lucaba, I think is very handy. I'm a big fan of him. I like Evan Ndicka, although I'm not that impressed with him since he went to Roma. Not that I'm unimpressed. He's very good. He's still a very good player. But the version of him that I fell in love with was the version at Frankfurt that used to bring the ball out. Great passer. But when he went to Roma, he just became like a clearing merchant, just hoofed the ball clear. But he's very good at it. I think he played more minutes than anybody else. I think he's very good at his tackles and interceptions and stuff, but he's not so much of a connector in chief from the back. He's my chairman. He's So like, it's a dry market, mate. Like, I don't think the left-footed, left-sided centre-back world is particularly wet right now. So
we were looking at some of these. Obviously, ignore Elliot Anderson and a couple others that are coming there. This is, to be honest, this isn't the best site Frank and I have found, but we were comparing, similar players to Hincapié. Any of these take your fancy, Frank? If you have a scroll, Sean, any of these take your fancy?
The one we kind of just the one that we spoke about, Sean. I don't know what your thoughts are. As almost a stopgap for the moment, is I don't mind the idea of Nathan Ake. Maybe that's just me as a stopgap. That was Vuskovic and Takai sort of developed for a year, and unless the market opens up for anyone else in the next year, Ake might be quite a cheap deal they could get done, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't think Manchester City want to sell anyone to us. I think the reason why that deal, the deal with Savinho still stalled. I've been told by people, it's a ludicrous conspiracy theory. I don't think it is at all. I think that Daniel Levy has pissed off Pep Guardiola 3-4 years ago, or 2 years, whenever 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and I think that it's vengeance is a dish best served cold. So he's wasted 10 days of our time. And I don't think that he'll let us have Ake either. And I don't want to overpay for him as a loan deal. I like the player, but you know what? Like after this one, like forget City. If anybody else came in for a £75 million bid for a 21-year-old who hasn't done but very much, Man City would have accepted it, but they weren't going to accept it with Tottenham. So let's not waste any more time with City players. I don't think.
Yeah, point. Interesting. And what about left winger options, mate? So if this Savinho news is coming out from more reliable aggregators and journalists soon about potentially Savinho falling through, who would you go for? Well, first question: do you think we need to go for another left wing, or do you think EZE can play on the left? Although let's be honest, when he's coming in, he's going to mainly be playing in the 10 with how scarce our options are there with the injuries of Kulusevski and Maddison. But do you think we need a left winger still? Do you think that should still be a priority? And who would you go for?
Yeah, look, I think the thing is, right, is that I think we're going to be twisted now into some sort of like mindset as fans, because we had £70 million that we were going to overpay for a player, but he wanted to come to Tottenham because he wasn't going to get the minutes to prove himself for the World Cup year. I don't think you can, like, if people go, well, if you had 70 for him, then let's go and see if we can get Rafael Leao, right? Or let's go and see if we can get someone like that, or the fella at Juve, Yildiz or Yildiz, whatever. Like, as much as I'd love all those players, and they're the sort of same caliber of footballer, those guys are not desperate to come. They're happy where they are, and they're not worried about minutes for the World Cup. They're gonna be playing enough minutes where they are. So it's not that you haven't got the same draw. I think that the kind of Savinho thing was fairly unique in as much as you sort of convinced the player that was willing to come and happy to come, who was of that ilk that probably otherwise wouldn't be if it wasn't for a World Cup year, etc. So with that being said, I think maybe like Tottenham fans are now going to get their hopes up on some levels that are not very easy to replicate for the next target. I'm a big fan of Malik Fofana. I think he's a quality player. I'd love to see him. I'm a big fan of Pedro Gonçalves, but dealing with Sporting is a nightmare. So I can't imagine that will be easy to do. And also, you've only got now 11 days left of the window, and so leaving those teams time to find replacements isn't easy. It's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of a problem, if I'm honest. But if on an ideal world, if you're looking for likes, I'd take Malik Fofana, but then that should hopefully leave you enough change left over to be able to go and get someone in a 9, maybe like a Malik, like a Mikhail Tadze. I'd love to see him. I think he's absolutely.
This is who Richard's mentioning, right? Surely this is who Richard's mentioning below.
Oh, Mikhail Tadze. Yeah. He plays. He's a centre forward primarily, but he's class enough to be able to drift. And the left wing spot is the most oversaturated place in the game because everyone's a right footer and wants to come in. But I think what we should probably be looking for is a left-footed left winger who can get to the byline, do what Kudus is doing on the right, rather than a cut-in merchant who can then overcrowd. Because I think if you have an EZE in the 10 and then you have a right-footed right winger on the right and left-footed left winger on the left, you can get to the byline. Then what you have, especially if they're two-footed and competent, then I've said it 1,000 times, I think that what happens then, you have a dual threat and it's impossible to know which side you're going to attack down. And then you can obviously, if those players get one-on-one against their fullbacks, and if the fullbacks are confident enough to be able to let them take them on one-on-one, then you'll have unbelievable outcomes like you saw with Burnley, with Kudus. But if they ask for help from their centre backs, or they pull across the 6, then you create space in the middle for an EZE who can have an absolute, dream world's, amounts of space. So I'd be looking for a left-footed left winger or someone that's more likely to take a player on rather than cut in. Of which there's still a few, still many. But you might need to, if you're looking for that, you might need to go and look in the right-footed. You might like someone like an Akliouche who plays off the right, but is left-footed, but is equally can play off the left and will be comfortable doing so. Or you could go and get, I don't know, Barcelona have got issues. Could you go and convince a Dani Olmo? As I say, though, like for me, I think the primary concern now is that Tottenham fans have got their expectations up that we're willing to go and, punch above our weight for a winger. But I think the unique circumstances with regards Savinho in the World Cup year, I'm not sure it's replicated too many other places. So I think we have to kind of lower our standards. Otherwise, people are going to throw the baby out with the bathwater after the Savinho deal looks like it's off.
Sure, mate. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Would you say, just very quickly, would you say that Brennan Johnson on the left was very much a stopgap and he shouldn't be looked on the left going forwards? Do you think Frank would do that again, depending on who we sign, or?
Yeah, no, I don't. If we end up with Johnson, Tell, and Odegaard as our left wing options, I think we're gonna. It just becomes the same problem as we had last season, where we attack down the one side all the time. It'll be the right side this time around, and then it becomes predictable and it becomes a template that's easy to defend against. So you need to have that second threat, and I'm not sure any of the current guys that we have are capable.
Definitely, Frank. Do you agree with that, mate? Do you agree with the points Sean made there?
Yeah, pretty much. I think Odegaard's probably the most capable of being a threat of the three. And being a threat in the same regard that Savinho probably is. Johnson scores goals, and I think Johnson, if he plays games, will score goals naturally just because he's that sort of player. He gets in good positions, he's a good finisher, he does that well. I think Odegaard can do that job. I'm not sure Odegaard has probably played enough football to suggest that he will do that job for us. And so I think Odegaard is kind of a case of I need to just see more of him and see him play. But as you know, he's not played that much since. I know he's obviously only had 2 competitive games, but he played. I think it was the Arsenal game, and he played really well. I was quite impressed by him and thought this could be this. Maybe he's going to be the left winger. And I was always kind of adamant that I thought it'd be Matthias Tell at the start of the season. He then looked dangerously bright, and since then, I mean, did he come on at the weekend? Did he got 10 minutes at the weekend? I think. So yeah, I want to see a little bit more of him. But listen, I want them to get a left winger, but as Sean says, I think Savinho was kind of a unique case that the opportunity presented itself for a really bright player for a decent set sum of money, and someone that you felt like could take you up a level. I wouldn't now we have to go and spend, as Sean says 75 million on a winger that isn't kind of what you want just for the sake of it. So yeah, I'll be disappointed if it doesn't happen as it's looking now. But yeah.
Interesting. Before I forget, guys, I've just whacked in the fantasy football. Basically, Sean, for some reason, we were talking about fantasy football and if people would put EZE in their team and everything else, and all the Spurs related guys in the chat have wanted a fantasy football league. So if you want to join it, I've whacked it in. I'll whack it in the Facebook chat as well, guys. There's about 300 and something of you watching live, which is incredible numbers. Really appreciate the support. Please make sure you're smashing the like button, smashing the subscribe, and turning on those noti bells. Give me a little ring, ding, ding in the chat if you've turned them on for live, daily lives and videos. But yeah, if you want to join the Fantasy Football League, it's below. I think the actual code to join is the bit at the end, the 5N9G72. So if you want to get involved, please do so, and maybe we'll do a little something for the winner at the end of the year. But it'd be good to get you guys in there. I know like 20 of you already said you wanted to join, so get yourselves in there. Sean, do you do fantasy football yourself, mate?
Yes, mate. Yeah. Well, I'm started again this year.
How'd you get on? How'd you get on at the weekend?
I think like 56 points or something.
Yeah. Okay. Who's your Tottenham players? Let me guess. Pedro Porro?
No, I don't have any Tottenham players.
You don't have any Tottenham players?
Not yet, no.
Why?
It's probably a smart way of doing things, actually.
Just divorce your emotions from the game.
Yeah.
I have 3 Tottenham players and I have no Arsenal players. Maybe I'm too emotional on it.
I've got Arsenal players.
I'm not sure I have any Arsenal players, so I'm not sure.
We'll stay alive for about 10 or 15 more minutes and then we'll wrap things up. Frank, I know you've got to go now, mate. So where can people find you? Of course, people can find you here, but I know you want to quickly just plug your channel as well, mate. You're going to be doing a few little videos across the season on THFC. Frank, did you want to just whack that in there, guys? We're not coming off yet, so the 300 people watching, Sean and I are going to stay live for. Sean, you got another 10-15 minutes in you?
You got 10 minutes, mate. That's okay.
10 minutes and we'll wrap things up. But Frank, before you go, we'll whack your comment channel in there.
Thank you,
what can people find over there, mate?
Pretty similar at the moment to what my TikTok is and has been for the last sort of 3 or 4 years. Little analysis bits, little clips here and there. But over the course of the season, I kind of want to push that into a bigger form of analysis, as I kind of do on here. So extend that over there as well. Have it both here and there. So yeah, go and have a look at that, and hopefully as the season progresses, we'll build that up.
Sweet as, mate. Frank, have a good week. Have a good evening. Enjoy your football, mate. And yeah,
Cheers,
guys,
mate.
get over to Frank's channel.
Cheers, Frank.
Cheers, Frank. See you in a bit, mate. Right. Sean, what I was going to ask you was window rating on the basis that we've signed Eberechi Eze, we haven't signed Savinho. What are you giving that out of 10 for your chairman and your board based on just that happening, nothing else?
I still think it's 7.5. I think I think as like three new first teamers, I think is really good, and I think signing Romero and signing Jed Spence on long-term contracts is fantastic. Danzo, great player. Kota Sakai, I've got no idea. We'll see. I think we did sort of decent business getting 20 million quid for Sonny. I mean, that's about right. Yeah, it's a shame we haven't moved on Bissouma, Solomon yet. So if it stays the way it is, then about 7, maybe 7, something like that, I think is very good. It's very fair, I believe. And then, but if we were to get a Savinho or a centre back or whoever any of the previous names mentioned, I think it's not far off an 8 or a 9. It's certainly, I think it's already the best. If we get Eze, I think it's already the best window we've had in years and years and years. And so, I think 7.5 is more than fair.
Completely agree, mate. I was actually at a 7.5 earlier. I think 7.5 out of 10, if you just get Eze in now, is still a very good window. If you get in a centre back / left back and a left winger, potentially a second striker, that can fit both those molds, of course, as we were just discussing, I think it then becomes a 9. Which is crazy. When was the last 9 out of 10 window? I can't remember one. I think sometimes we've gone early and said a window is 7 or 8 out of 10, and then it never is. But I think, when you get a caliber of player like an Eze,
you put a thus far on the caveat, then it leaves you room for it to improve or to sort of dial back a little bit later on.
Absolutely, mate. Char Binksy, what a name that is, by the way. Reminds me of what's his name from Star Wars, Jar Jar Binks. Maybe it's a pun on that, but anyway, it must be. Is the Eze deal done? So we haven't had the here we go. We haven't had anything official, but deal sealed as per Paul O'Keefe and other sources that are very reliable, close to the club. Looking like 55 to 60 million plus add-ons. I think here we go in the next 24 to 48 hours. Sean, would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I maybe I went to get the early crow earlier on, but Paul O'Keefe, when he says it's agreement's done, then you're expecting like within minutes. We're all racing to go live because you're expecting within minutes you get the here we go from Fabrizio and then it's party time. But I text Johnny and Johnny was like, "What are you talking about? It's not done." I was like, "Well, but Paul O'Keefe said it is." He's like, "Yeah, it's not done." And then it's turned out that he was wrong and Johnny was right. So.
So Johnny's saying he's in the know now.
Johnny's best mate is the agent of Eze.
That's true, actually. I'll give Johnny his flowers where it's due. That is very true. That is very true. Johnny Mud Show. No, I'm joking. Stuart saying Incapié or bust. And Luke saying no. Sorry, what's that profile bit? Loving the mask, mate. I always love looking at people's profile
like
pictures.
Batman or something. I don't know.
A what Batman?
Woke. Like, looks a little bit. Just a little bit.
Oh, I always like looking at the profile pictures. We had a weird one earlier. I mean, I don't know if you ever get this one. We have Donna Cullen come in our chat. It's always
yeah.
Classic. We'll wrap up in literally. I know you've got to go in like 2-3 minutes, mate. So my last question.
I'm only going to bed, mate. I haven't been feeling well for I've been asleep all day, and then I literally woke up at 1:30, 1:45, whatever it was. And when I was like, I was having a weird dream, and I snapped out of it. And this happened before, like when Radu Dragusin signed. It was very early in the morning. I opened my eyes and just straight away went, check your phone. There's something happened in my dream where it was like time to wake up, and I checked my phone, and then as I picked my phone up, suddenly a notification from Romero dropped saying, "Radio Dragosin, here we go." So I jumped out of bed, didn't even have time to brush my teeth, went straight live. And the same thing happened today. I feel like absolute. I don't know what's going on with my health. I don't feel well. So I went back to bed and had a sleep this afternoon, and then I was opening my eyes. Same thing happened. I looked at my phone, and then Paul O'Keefe agreement made, and I was like, "It's happened again! Jump quick, get out of bed!" And,
mate, keep going to sleep. I mean, obviously, get well soon, mate. I hope you feel better. But please keep going to sleep, because if we keep getting good news when you're asleep, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I only haven't got to wake up, so no sleeping pills. Just.
Oh, there you go. Maybe what? Just a quick one, mate. What were you dreaming about? Was it to do with kissing Levy, as per your tweet the other day? I saw that. That was absolutely ridiculous.
You know what it is, mate. I worked out a long time ago, right? That if you like have your computer or something on, or you're listening to a podcast, whatever I don't know if it happens to you, whatever I'm listening to, it absolutely infects my dreams. Absolutely, like whatever's going on in the conversation. And unfortunately, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. Right, so
yeah, he's good.
I end up in my dreams. I get really annoyed with Joe Rogan because I'm involved in the conversation, and I'm trying to get involved in the conversation. Right, so Joe's in real life. Joe's just talking to some guy. Yeah. But in my mind, in my dream, there's three of us in the conversation. And every time I try to say something, Rogan overtalks me to like carry on talking with his guest. So I get really, really annoyed with Joe Rogan every time I fall asleep because he never lets me in the conversation.
Doesn't let you speak. It just doesn't let you in.
Speak. No one's ever listening to me.
It's like Interstellar, where he's just, that scene at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, final question for Sean in the chat. If you had just one player to sign for the rest of the window, and guys, get your comments in now. This is the last engagement piece of the whole stream. If you have one player you can sign before the end of the window, who is it? Is it a left winger? Is it a centre back? Is it other than EZE? EZE's done. Another player. Who would it be and why? Put it in the chat. Sean, over to you. One player. No, could be him, could be him.
Okay.
Who's your one player that if you go, right, we got EZE and now we've got XYZ player.
If not Savio,
then window.
All right. If not Savio, realistically, I think Malik Fofana would be my winger of choice. I think so. Something about him. Whenever I watch him, I know he's small and stuff, and he's not like physical, whatever. But there's something terrifying about him. People like Rafael Leao. There's always every time I see Leao, I always think he's a I don't know. He's a minutes guy. Like he can be brilliant, he can be devastating, but I also think he's got like moments where he just can't be bothered. And Akliouche, mate, I'm not. I see people saying Akliouche. I'm not that sold on him. Like whenever I've seen him, I think he looks good, but I don't think he's as good as everyone says he is. He might become fantastic, but I think he's good, but I don't think he's great. And also he plays off the right predominantly. Unless you're going to convert him over to the left, I don't know. But for me, I'd go for Malik Fofana. Who would you go for?
Yeah, good one for sure. Where are you? I'll answer that in a minute. With Fofana, what's his main positions that you'd play him in? Because is he quite versatile?
Yeah, he's a left winger for me. Yeah, take on guy, take on specialist, great at whipping the ball in.
Do you not think we need someone that can play as a striker as well? In the sense that obviously Savinho is not really that guy, but people saying about Richarlison not good for the whole season. I know you're not a Richarlison fan. Obviously Solanke can blow hot and cold. Do you think we need someone challenging them as well? Do you think it's a bit weak up top?
I think if you get an injury to Richarlison and then you're stuck with Solanke, you got no one on the bench. But I think at the same time, Matisse Tell, as much as people don't rate him, Bayern Munich think he's a forward, right? And so, I think he could step in there. And I think Brennan Johnson could also step in there. You'd have to tweak the tactics and play the game differently. But I think if you're going to go and get a number 9, like an out-and-out 9 right now, think how much money it's going to cost to get someone that's better than Solanke or Richarlison in the 9. It's going to be 60, 70 million quid, right? Yeah. There's not that many 9s available. So if you're looking for like an all-rounder, like a forward that can do them all, there were a few knocking around, like Evan Gassan, but he's gone to Villa. Callum Wendo's gone to Nottingham Forest. There were these players around there. Dusan Vlahovic, I don't want to touch. Ollie Watkins is too old and not coming to Tottenham. You're not going to go and get an Ivan Toney out of Saudi.
Mm. We were
I don't
talking
think-
about
I don't know when-
Kenan Yildiz before you came in, and although it could be slightly unrealistic in terms of the fee, I'm hearing Juventus have some financial issues and that they could potentially be forced to sell players. Don't know how true that is. You probably know it better than me. What about him, mate? Yildiz, would he be a good one to go for?
Yeah, Kenan Yildiz is amazing. If you had the choice right now of Yildiz or Savinho, I'm choosing Yildiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he's not, like I said a minute ago, like when Frank was on, I feel like he's not a player that wants to leave Juve. It's not a player that Juve want to sell. He's their kind of their big thing. I'd love to see it. Look, if the Savio deal's off, Paratici, bro, speak to some people. Any chance? 70 million quid. Go and get it done. If that's the money, transfer it straight across to Juve. Bring him in. Love to see it. I'll be over the moon. I just don't think it's the same environment. I don't think the variables of that whole deal with Savio, I think they're unique, as I said, and I don't think it's like equitable when you look at places like Milan for Leao, Yildiz for Juve and stuff. I don't think that the players are in the same kind of thought process with regards leaving their club to get minutes, because they're going to have their minutes at their own club. So.
And he's one of their best players, like if not their best player. He's not going to be keen to move unless there's a serious package involved, a serious guarantee. Like, would he be coming and be Tottenham's poster boy? Is that better for him than Juventus? You know, I don't know if it is. But let's get through the chat very, very quickly. Sean, wrapping up in 1 minute. Nkapie a bust. Kantab's joking about Kane. Vissa, what's happening with Vissa, mate? I don't even know. Is he going to Newcastle?
Once Brentford get there. Well, although Brentford was supposed to let him go when they got Ouattara or whatever it is, the guy.
Right.
The guy, but he hasn't left yet, but he's taken all of his. He's acted a bit petulant, isn't he? He's taken all of his Brentford stuff off of his Instagram and shit. So.
Absolutely. Luke saying Rodrigo to piss off City. Semenyo says El Duderino. Liao says Jeff. So this is the guy that we were discussing on your stream yesterday, wasn't it? Sorry, this name. Somebody Savami.
He was Lubo me up yesterday. It's Mr. Pox office before. The guy changes his name every couple of weeks. Big up, Poxy.
Yeah, I've seen it on your stream. Sudakov is decent. Shout so it's for Varna, but someone like Mika Tuedze who can play up top as well. Ideal. I think that versatility for me does it. Mika Tuedze, he's such a good player and he's so underrated in my opinion. So underrated. We did a video on him. Okay. That about summarizes it. Guys, before you all click off the video, there's 300 of you in the chat. It's really insane numbers for our channel. Really appreciate all the support. I really, really do. Please do me one massive favor, three massive favors, maybe 4. Smash the like on the video before you go off it. It's free to do so. Subscribe if you're new. We gained about 70 subs this stream. Absolutely nuts numbers. Really appreciate all the support. The third one, if you want to join that fantasy football, as I said I would set up, please join it using that link there. All you need is the last, 6 characters, 5N9G72. If you want to get in, Sean, make sure you get in, mate. I want to see how you finish in that league as well. And before you also all go off, I'm sure 90% of you already follow Sean or subscribe to Sean. But if you haven't already done so, please do click on that link in the comment now. It goes straight over to Sean's channel. Press the subscribe button. He's on the march to 40k, which is absolutely nuts. Sean, what will people see on your channel if, of course, they don't know, mate?
Oh, over the last couple of days, live streams that freeze, that glitch, 1 frame per second.
You meant to sell it, mate.
A general horrible experience. But generally speaking, normally you'll see uploads every morning. I'm out with my dog. Talking about whatever's going on or behind the screen here, and usually a stream in the afternoon or evening. But yeah, please, most importantly, smash the granny out of the like button for Spurs Related. Big up to James and Frank. And yes, James, I'm sorry, I've got terrible energy, mate. I feel like I'm about to fall asleep at my, I feel like I'm about to pass out. Mate. I don't know what's going on with my body. It's not in good nick, mate. Not in good nick.
We're getting the stream ended now, mate. Honestly, we've been live for an hour and 40 anyway. Stuart's saying, get some sleep, Sean. Look after yourself. Fix up, says Sean. Get on the wheatgrass powder, says Scott Spur. There you go. Have a look at that. But anyway, guys, really appreciate all the support. Like, subscribe, all that great stuff. Really appreciate the support. We'll be live again tomorrow. Same time, 6 p.m. UK time. Be there. Turn your noti bells on. Subscribe to Sean. Get in the fantasy football. And as always, guys, remember, come on, you Spurs.